Welcome to Jurassic Park. And the last, well, for the foreseeable future Jurassic Park film, Jurassic World Dominion just came out. This is the Let's Talk Nerds podcast. We're going to be spoiler talking the film. We've all seen it. It's kind of past opening weekend now. We can talk about spoilers. I'm joined by my awesome co-hosts, Nick and Ronnie. What's up, guys?
What up?
Hello.
So we can also, if we have time or you want to switch topics, we can talk a little bit about Kenobi as well. But this is mostly a discussion for Jurassic World Dominion. So, guys, what's your initial thoughts? I saw it Thursday at 8:45 my time. Ronnie, didn't you see it during the day on Thursday?
I saw it with Nick.
Oh, you did?
Very late, 9:30 at night on Thursday.
Yeah, it was 9:30. We didn't get out of the theater, I think. It was half an hour previews, so...
I think 12.
Yeah.
12 something.
Oh, wow.
12:30.
And now, Ronnie, you got the Regal Cinemas bucket and drink combo with the blue and beta.
Yeah, that was
exclusive.
pretty neat.
Yeah, we got that too. Did you get one of those, Nick, or did you get something else? Or
Nah, I've got one from Fallen Kingdom, but I have no space for little trinkets and stuff.
It's cool though. It's for the movie.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that movie in theaters. They have one at AMC too. I got that one too.
Yeah,
that one's probably cooler.
I think we got that probably because it's the last movie and it's Alita and I's first movie together for Jurassic, so it's kind of a special thing. It's the last one for now.
that was actually me and Katie's thing too.
No, that's cool.
We went together for the second time. We went IMAX and Dolby, and I brought my younger brother, and she brought her two younger siblings who had never seen any Jurassic Park movies before. And,
wow.
My brother has, of course, but all three of them came out loving it. So, I mean, as far as a kid audience goes, in the 12-year-old range, they hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, Alejandro said he got the Dominion logo popcorn bucket. It was $25 for the blue and beta one in my area in Nashville. I don't know how much expensive it was in Jersey.
Same,
oh, it was
okay. Over here.
Good old Rita Cinemas.
You get a large cup too.
Yeah, you get the
same design.
Yeah. So, what's you guys' initial thoughts? You got out of the theater together. What did you guys think?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Nick.
Yeah.
And I like to talk too.
You want to say what's wrong? Ronnie wants to keep talking. What's up, Ronnie?
Well, yeah, I thought it was fun. I like the second and third act probably the best. That's when all the action started kicking in.
Yeah.
And the third, was cool to see.
Yeah, he was dope. We'll talk about him.
Is the lack of screen time, I'd say. Same thing with the Giga.
Lack of screen time for who? The Dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he was really cool to see. You see him come up. He's huge. I didn't realize how big he was until I saw the movie.
Yeah.
I guess we can just... that guy is huge, big giant.
I guess we can just talk about him now because we have him before we get into your initial thoughts, Nick. Was he or she blind? I'm assuming that was the thing, right?
So apparently it's using echolocation and it's blind or possibly had poor eyesight during the day. I don't know necessarily what the story is behind it, unfortunately, because it was just kind of thrown into the movie and absolutely no backstory or explanation. I haven't really followed all of the media for the Dominion press release and whatnot, but
right, me too.
I don't recall ever reading anywhere that this dinosaur was blind, or rather that it had the ability to echolocate, which I thought was a really weird choice for a dinosaur, for one, and two, for that specific dinosaur of all things.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking it was blind because you saw the glazed over eyes, and they also showed a clip the week before the film released. But one thing it did was in the writing of the film, they said that they had deer for the predators, but the Therizino is apparently a herbivore.
Right.
And so you see the deer there, and you see the Therizino is what's going on? What the hell? And so it kills the deer, and it's all right, well, maybe it was a territorial thing. That's why it goes after Claire, because why would it want to eat Claire, So then it made sense for the final fight for it to kind of save the Rex and kill the Giga because it was in its territory or whatever, and it was kind of just doing its thing by getting rid of a threat,
Right.
whatever. So
Still doesn't make sense why it was blind though.
Yeah, and especially when like Biosyn was like talking or Dodgson or whatever, whoever it was, the new guy that's like supposed to be Biosyn's second in command that screwed him over. I forget his name.
Ramsey.
They were talking about how like some of their species were like 100% pure and they didn't use like any frog DNA or whatever DNA they could have put in. Like I don't know what dinosaur they put a monitor lizard in. But
that was blue.
Blue, okay. Or yeah. So yeah, that was there's so many topics to cover, but I guess quickly to wrap up the intro, Nick, initial thoughts out of the theater, what'd you think?
I mean, as a Jurassic Park fan, I very much enjoyed it. I actually thought it had a very Michael Crichton vibe to it, which I very much appreciated. And I really enjoyed seeing the big three back on the theaters again, or back on the big screen again at theaters. I never got to experience Jurassic Park or any of its original sequels in theaters. So to see those guys come back, on screen, I know Malcolm was in the last one, but like, courtroom scene really isn't much. But no, I thought they were great. I mean, I thought Alan's story was really good. I loved how they definitely had like subtle references to the Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 in this one too.
Right.
Like they definitely didn't leave that stuff out, which to me was very important. So I'm glad Trevorrow at least acknowledged like, hey, Ellie did have a husband and 2 kids, and Malcolm now has 5 kids instead of 3, I think it was in the first film. So
right.
It's good that they're mentioning things that kind of throw back a little bit to fans that are, I guess diehards, in the franchise that'll acknowledge things like that. But yeah, I thought it was a solid, probably 7 out of 10. I thought it was better than Fallen Kingdom, and I think it was. I think after seeing it twice, I would even say it's probably a little bit better than Jurassic World. But both movies are entertaining to say the least. And this is also Jurassic Park fans' shiny new toy. This is the first one that we've had, our first movie we've had in 4 years.
Right.
So, and it's the one with our, childhood heroes in it to boot. So that kind of doesn't help things either. But I think as we simmer down, I think a lot of the hate will go away. And I think that people will just understand, like, at the end of the day, it's just a movie. It's just a fun time. Enjoy it for what it is. It's not perfect by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Ronnie, you saw the latest Fast movie and they reshowed, or I guess they showed for the first time, the Jurassic World Dominion prologue before. Did you see that in IMAX? I know Nick probably did, but did you see that, Ronnie, or no?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, apparently that was in the movie originally. And then they cut that out, and the movie's, I guess, intro or first scene was like the Mosasaurus attack. So I want to build off of the comments of Nathan and Gio saying the prologue should have stayed in the movie and it would provide more context with the Giga and Rexy rematch. So do you agree, both you guys, if you would have rather seen that prologue in the film, or is it fine just the way it is?
I agree. I think it should have stayed because it was a cool like entry scene if they put that in. Because it shows like you travel back in time and then you see like, oh look, it's all of them living together like back in their own time, and then you see like the 2 big guys fighting, and then the Giga kills the Rex, and then a flashback 65 million years later with the mosquito, and you got the helicopter chasing the Rex. That was a really cool scene. But yes, I really enjoyed that. That was pretty neat, and they should have kept it.
Nick, what do you think?
I personally agree. I mean, I think that intro was really good. I think it was a lot more, I guess, grabbing than the initial intro. I mean, the Mosasaurus scene was great, and then that stupid little news broadcast that came into play was really weird. I didn't like the actress who was the news reporter at all. I thought she was cringy as hell.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I just think the writing there was terrible. I mean, they were mentioning that there was like an escaped cloned woman, or rather cloned girl out there of, what was her name? Charlotte Lockwood. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wait, how do you all know these things? Like, how is this stuff public now? Like, all of the people that were really involved, other than except maybe like Iris, made it out alive. So maybe she could have reported her missing. But there's just a lot of like weird things that they talk about, and it's like, wait, like how public is this? You know, because Alan Grant recognizes Maisie Lockwood right away,
Right.
and like knows her by name, and so does Ramsey Cole, and so you know it's weird. Like they know her name, but is she public enough that if she rides into a small town, they'll recognize her? I don't know.
Right.
That seemed a little confusing.
I think one thing about, just back to the prologue before we go on to the next topic.
Yeah.
In the prologue, when the Rex dies, it like kind of dollies in the camera towards her eye,
Right.
and that makes sense to keep it in the film, because in the film, in the final battle, she's kind of like dead on that slab of concrete or whatever that was.
The statue, yeah.
Yeah, from the Giga. But then, like, you know, the camera's like going into her eye, so like it makes more sense that they had that shot in there for the final battle, with, if you had the prologue in there. But I feel like there's like an extended cut of this film, and I feel like Trevorrow is going to release it in theaters, because he's kind of teased that on Twitter. He teased
Really?
it. Yeah, I think, did you see the news that he kind of like teased that there's like an Oviraptor versus some dinosaur like fight that was cut.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because they had the Oviraptor model in the prologue, and that dinosaur, like you were saying, you know, was completely disappeared in the film. Iguanodon had a very minute scene at the end in the courtyard that, like, you would not, like, if you're not looking for it, you would miss it, because I missed it my first time around. But you know, it's funny that they cut certain things like that.
I feel like that's kind of a missed opportunity, because I feel like Iguanodon's kind of a popular dinosaur, but I don't know.
Iguanodon's great.
Yeah.
I mean, in evolution, it's like a beast. It's one of the only herbivores that fights back, and it's got that giant thumb spike.
Nice. Gosh, we all have to start playing evolution after the live stream. Okay, so Nick, you know about like the whole like DX virus like plotting from like the books, and I think it's from the books, and from like the unreleased like scripts and all that, or no?
The DX virus. The only thing I can think of is the dinosaurs eating the. Is it from the Lost World? The ghosts?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What about that?
So essentially, I wanted to kind of like have you explain it to Ronnie, to get Ronnie involved in the convo, because essentially this movie was like that, but instead of the virus, it was locusts, because Shelvin just brought up that point.
Oh, interesting. So in the Lost World novel, there was a virus that Malcolm explains is the reason for why the Lost World, the Site B island, will not make it, and it's simply because InGen used to feed their prey livestock, which was primarily, I think, goats and cattle. And there was some type of, I guess, bacterial infection or disease that transmitted for, you know, dinosaurs eating that type of livestock. And, you know, as it dispersed throughout the island, that disease would then infect different species, then causing them to die out, because it was such a small populated space. You know, if the compies, you know, bit a hadrosaur, you know, even if they didn't kill it, they infected it. So that's going to wind up dying, you know, and so they're killing more of the population than what they should be able to. And so it's, you know, going to basically cause the herbivores to die out, and then leading the carnivores to kill each other, and then there'd be no food left and everything die. And so that's kind of the plot of the locust here, in which, you know, to only not eat the things that Biosyn grows, and, you know.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it seems pretty similar.
yeah, so Ronnie, now that you know the context of like that plot line that Crichton kind of made up, would you rather have seen something like that, like the DX virus, and that going around, like maybe a virus from the dinosaurs causing extinction for, you know, humankind, and we have to stop this and come together, blah blah blah. Maybe Henry Wu does that, or do you like seeing like the locust plot? Because a lot of people are really kind of up in arms about like the locusts and blah blah.
I thought the locust one like worked pretty well. 'Cause that like impacted like the humans for the most part, like in their livestock. But you can tell like from what Nick told me, I don't know too much about the DX virus thing, but it seems like they are like very similar, and they tried to go with that kind of like route.
Yeah, okay, so I want to build off that, because I have a question that's in my notes here. Like, why, like, what would the motivation be for Biosyn to like dominate the world's crop supply when they seemingly already have enough money by what's explained in the film is they're doing like pharmaceutical work or something like that with the dinosaurs and dinosaur DNA. Like there's nothing like hinted at that they're like maybe secretly bankrupt or they're starving for money. Like why are they just being evil just to be evil with the
Mm-hmm.
breeding the locusts and trying to like dominate the world's crop supply? Like I don't understand that at all.
Well,
I'll
it's
tell.
probably well, you know how those big companies can be,
Yeah.
especially in movies. You know, they can never have enough money. So yeah, that's probably definitely what they were trying to do. Like, oh, let's control the food supply for the whole world. And then yeah, they would make all the money. Like I said, yeah, they can never have enough money. There's big companies in those movies.
What were you guessing, Nick?
To say it's either global domination, bad writing, or deleted scenes.
It's probably all three.
Exactly.
Um,
I think so. Especially like Trevorrow's dialogue in this one wasn't the best.
Yeah, there were some lines. I think the worst one was Ellie saying Ian slid into her DMs. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, come on. Like
Or
that was
Ian
the
saying,
worst.
"Wow, this is trippy." Like what?
Yeah, Ian. I guess we'll just talk about Ian. I wanted to keep talking about Dodgson, but like Ian Malcolm for Fallen Kingdom was written, I would say, like Ian Malcolm. Like he was like, let the dinosaurs die. And like he was like being Ian Malcolm and saying, like, well, like in the first movie, like God destroyed dinosaurs and blah blah blah. Like this place is hell. Like, why is he working at a place that he hates? Like he's working at essentially a quasi Jurassic Park. And his job is also twofold to give lectures to employees. Like that made like no sense at all to me, unless like his sole purpose was like he's kind of the new Nedry in a way and wants to destroy it, and so like he's there to like figure out like what's going on, and then he can dial up Ellie to fix it. I don't know, like that made no sense to me at all. That wasn't really Ian Malcolm to me. I don't know if you agree or not.
Well, I mean, he actually stated in the movie he did it for money because he had 5 kids and he's got to pay.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's that line, but still, like,
Yeah, that would make sense.
is that gonna be like everything? Like the check
Well,
from the Kirby's, like I don't know, like how many things they just
I
had
mean,
to
if
get
there's one thing that Jurassic Park protagonists love, it's money, because that's what gets them to do anything. So, it doesn't shock me that it was written that way. It also doesn't shock me that he's a professor at a big global corporation that controls, genetics and, modern technology. Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense when he has the fame that he has and the, money that he probably gets from it. And he also does at the end talk about like how, even though he worked there, he doesn't support anything that Biosyn stands for.
I get that though. That's kind of like real life. Sometimes you take jobs you don't like.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't
Like,
know.
where is a chaotician really getting paid these days?
Maybe true. Maybe true. Let me go back to Dodgson a little bit. Did you like Dodgson? Because this is a guy that, like, yes, we knew him from Jurassic Park, but if you read the books, like, this dude is super evil. Geo made that up right now here in the comments. He brought this up. Like, I think he attempts to kill Sarah Harding in the book. But like, I feel that Dodgson was super soft after finding out like Ian kind of like destroyed his company essentially. And maybe like he should have like thrown Ian in like the Giga's paddock or something evil, instead of just firing him. Like he seemed just like kind of super soft. I felt that like he was kind of dumb because there's a shot of him watching from like the top of the atrium or wherever of Ian with Ellie and Grant, and they look like they're plotting something, but like nothing happens. He doesn't do anything about it. Like he doesn't have like a security team, for example, like thwart them when they're getting the DNA sample from the locusts, and then like maybe then that's when what's the new guy's name, the guy in charge of Biosyn,
Ramsey Cole.
that's when like maybe Ramsey can when they're like locked up in kind of like a cell like Lockwood from the last one, the stigmata kind of makes them escape. Maybe it's Ramsey that steals the DNA sample, gives it back to Elliot, and gets them out of a jail cell, essentially in Biosyn, whatever. Like something like that. I don't know, Dodgson. Yeah, so we want to talk about, because you brought this point up, that he was constantly eating. I want to bring up that he I don't know if he was like I know some introverted people, and this was, I guess, how I am still. Like, they don't know how to talk to people, or like they're awkward around people. Like when he met Grant and Ellie, he was like so weird, and like he was like when he was taking the photo posing with them, he was like pointing at the camera and wasn't like, actually like posing. It was just so weird. Like Dodgson was just so weird in this film.
I mean, he was definitely quirky, and I think that's cool too because he definitely had that weird vibe to me. I think in the novels, I think Campbell Scott did a great job with him. To be honest with you, I know a lot of people don't like his little tantrum at the end, which I think was just poor writing on Trevorrow's part, not Campbell Scott, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as him as a character, I feel like he had a lot of other plot lines set up that didn't get fleshed out properly. So I'm almost wondering because I feel like a lot of this movie is trying to set up something else.
Yeah.
And I feel like Dodgson and Ramsey Cole might be a part of that. You know, they might do a prequel or like a mid-era, you know, series or something between like Fallen Kingdom and Dominion with them or something like that.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Ronnie, go ahead. Sorry, Nick.
No, sorry. I actually just remembered this point. For those of you who've read the Rick Carter script of Jurassic Park, the death of Dodgson is actually very similar to Hammond's. Pretty sure it's Rick Carter's script. But there's essentially an old Jurassic Park script where Hammond dies and he basically gets killed by one of the raptors. And in the background, the projector screen from the initial start of the movie comes up and you hear Hammond's voice saying something like, "Here at Jurassic Park, we believe that," you know, and it's very similar to how after Dodgson dies, the elevator opens and you hear Dodgson's voice saying, "We here at Biosyn believe that dinosaurs can teach us a lot about ourselves."
Oh, yeah. That was pretty neat.
What did you think? I really loved. There's something I talked about on Twitter. Before I keep talking about Dodgson, I want Ronnie's opinion on it. Him as a villain. I really loved. I don't know if you guys played Resident Evil 2, like the last third or so of the game. You go into Umbrella Corporation and like the aesthetics and like the whole looks of Biosyn and like the labs and stuff is like dead on from like Resident Evil 2. And that made me like so happy because I was like, especially when Dodgson's death, it was like very like Resident Evil 2 with the like very clean white looking, and then, but then there's like really scary looking like smoke and stuff. And of course he gets killed by the Dilophosaurus because it ties to Dennis Nedry. And I thought that was actually really awesome. It was filmed kind of bland, but I thought just the whole production whoever made up those sets did such a fantastic job because I really like those looks. And you can tell Trevorrow likes video games. You can tell he likes video games because he probably took it from inspiration from that. But I just want to say that on stream and for the record. But I want to know, Ronnie, what'd you think of Dodgson as a villain for the humans?
He was an interesting character. Like what you guys say, like he's kind of like seems kind of like an introverted kind of guy, and then he doesn't really like know how to talk to people that much. But I remember another friend of mine was saying about like how he's like constantly like eating stuff, and how he asked Ramsey in the beginning. He's like, "Hey, did you bring that bar for me or something?" Which that was like kind of like awkward. He's like, "Oh, what's that supposed to mean?"
He said, "Do you have my food?" He's like, "Do you have one of my bars?"
Yeah.
Yeah. What were we going to talk about that? You were saying that off air, Nick, about maybe he's engineered himself somehow.
I just feel like there's a lot more to Biosyn and those two characters of Ramsey Cole and Louis Dodgson than we've seen in the film. I know there's got to be an extended cut out there because let's face it, we all know that the editing of this movie sucked. You know, it was very choppy, it was very fast paced and rushy, and you know, not that was a bad thing. It's an action movie, and obviously 2.5 hours is a pretty long runtime. But overall, there just felt like so much missing from the second and third acts. And I felt like there was way too much in the first that we didn't really need either. So, you know, that's why I think, you know, those things didn't happen. However, as far as Dodgson goes, you know, I feel as though that character might have, you know, made it so that he has to eat a certain type of food, you know, because he's got, you know, he injected himself and did testing on himself or something, and he needs, you know, whatever it is that he's eating to survive, like the lysine contingency, you know, in Jurassic Park. So I wonder if there was, you know, some type of tie to that, you know, maybe the lysine contingency even. I don't know if that would work in humans or not, but, It's things like that that are very Michael Crichton-y that I feel like would have been cool if they were maybe established on a little more.
Yeah, I would like to have seen as just the writer in me. Maybe if they do something like a series between Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, that if they have Ramsey and Dodgson, kind of like actually maybe Ramsey was that guy who was like, yes, Bios, and yes, and then maybe something happens, and then like Ramsey's like, you know what, F this guy, and then like he was gonna somehow stab him in the back
Right.
or whatnot. But go ahead.
And also, just to mention real quick, to think about a series like that, and also how much they fleshed out in this movie about saying like most of the dinosaurs' first batches came from Sorna, and then the others are also nublar dinosaurs. And we've also recreated 20 extinct species that are fully, 100% genome non-touched. So obviously, we didn't see all of that in the film. But how cool would it be to go back in time and see them bring those dinosaurs back, or have Ramsey Cole be a part of the capture missions, or things like that, seeing Dogson's character and kind of getting you, more perspective as to what Biosyn is as a company, because, they could do probably, they're planning a live action series from what I've read a while back. I don't know if they're still doing that now. And I think they're also planning another movie. So, I feel like that's something that Jurassic fans might appreciate.
Yeah.
The Biosyn compound was absolutely awesome looking.
Okay, I want to ask a question building off of that for both of you guys. So the Biosyn compound is awesome. Hopefully I can get the Jurassic World Evolution DLC, can stream it for you guys because I want to play in that area, in that freaking place. But I want to ask though, instead of separate paddocks, Biosyn spent like millions of dollars on like dinosaurs that they bred or whatnot to have them in one really big paddock, and they could essentially fight each other over territory like the Giga did with the Rex. Like, am I going wrong, or did that actually happen? Like, why would they do that? Is that
To
a
my
thing?
knowledge, at least I know in the Fallen or the Dominion DLC, it's invisible fences. However, I didn't see any invisible fences in this movie. All I know is it was a compound with underground tunnels with the Hyperloop, and obviously there was no fencing protecting those outposts. The Giga just went right up and put its head through there.
Yeah.
So I think it's all, like you said, just an implant they put in there that sends signals to the brain to persuade them to do things otherwise, which is why I think the T-Rex dropped the deer for the Giga to eat and walked away rather than tried to fight it. So that maybe
I don't know if I think actually the Rex just kind of gave up on fighting, and because they didn't want to fight the Giga. I don't think it was an implant, but I don't. If there were invisible fences, like why was the Giga with the Rex?
Exactly. I feel like that's the only way Frontier could implement a feature like that in the game, so that makes total sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
As far as this,
It's a
I didn't
theory.
see any invisible fences anywhere.
It's just there's so many questions.
Yeah.
About the film. Ronnie, do you have anything to add about that? Why did that happen? Like, what was going on with that? Do you have any theories?
Not really. I kind of agree with Nick what he said about that. But yeah, just like you said, there's a lot of questions, a lot of stuff that didn't really make sense.
Speaking of questions, it was kind of alluded to in Jurassic World that like Hoskins, I guess was working for InGen, but like InGen in the original trilogy were like the bad dudes, even though they were the good dudes because it was Hammond's company. So I assume my friend Jack Ewens was talking, and he's like works for Universal as a consultant for the Jurassic lore or whatnot. And what I was piecing together, what he was kind of saying publicly, it seemed that like Biosyn was kind of InGen, and then like Biosyn was working with Wu to steal dinosaurs from Masrani and Jurassic World and make their own. But like, did that not happen? Like, what was the point of Hoskins and InGen in the first film if like they weren't Biosyn? Like, there was no plot really then going with the trained raptors anymore.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It kind of just seemed like it was all like filler.
Well,
I don't know.
Look at Camp Cretaceous. They set up Manticore of all things. Why not use that as Biosyn?
That's true. Well, maybe it will be because we still have another season.
Right. There's one final season, which they specifically, I think, set up for after Dominion because there were Dominion spoilers in it somehow.
Maybe, yeah.
But, I think that the timeline and everything just doesn't really, make much sense.
Really quickly, this Nathan says that the Giga kind of looks like Godzilla. Since I saw it, I called it Godzilla because it does look like Godzilla to me. So we can talk about, I guess, the whole midpoint with the Malta illegal drop trade. Um, I want to talk about more of the train raptors real quick. Like, so the whole point of the train raptors for like 2 whole movies was just like a small bit for like kind of security detail for the illegal drop. Like, I don't know. I don't know like where that plot was going. Maybe it was going further, and then like Colin saw like all the complaints. Well, I wasn't one of those people that was complaining. I thought it was kind of cool. And it wasn't the second comic series. They had them for in like Latin America. They had raptors. I only read it once, but like it was, a decent plot. But I feel like it was going further than that, and then like Colin kind of wrapped it up really quickly. I think that's how I feel, but because it makes no sense for like literally having a huge thread for 2 films and leading into something, and all it was is some like random lady with a wrist and a laser pointer, like a wrist gauntlet or whatever that was. Like, I don't know. I have so many questions. I don't know if anyone has answers. Or you guys have any thoughts on that or no?
I mean, I don't know if that necessarily was trying to wrap up that plot point. But I do feel as though you're right. Like, it doesn't make much sense as to, like, why they shortened up the hybrid line and the training dinosaurs and everything. I did, however, like the way the Atrociraptors were executed rather than the Indoraptor. I felt like they felt more natural and real, but there wasn't enough backstory on them either. I mean, They weren't ever called by their names, like the ones that were in Jurassic World. And they also were apparently marketed to be Sornoraptors as purebreds, but they never really mentioned that in the film because they do kind of look like those raptors to a degree. I mean, one's name is Tiger, and the one that's Ghost looks like the Sorna female.
Right.
But again, no mention of that, which seemed a little weird.
Ronnie, and then Nick, I have a question for you. Gio just brought this up. So, the Malta black market scene homed in on the Star Wars vibes, and he asks, does this kind of look like Jabba's palace to you?
I mean, I can see why. Looks pretty similar. You got all those like weird people around there, and all these different types of people and the different things that they do. And you got one guy who's there cooking dinosaur meat. He's like, "Hey, I'm selling dinosaur meat," and cooking it right in front of you.
I was real quick. I was actually expecting Rain Delacour, whatever his name is, to be like a bigger role, but he really wasn't.
Oh God, I'm glad he wasn't.
Did you think it was the black market was kind of like Jabba's palace, Nick? Real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it had a similar vibe. I honestly actually thought Maz Kanata's castle initially, so that just goes to show, like,
yeah, pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Malta. My friend John, the flick pick, he says that essentially the whole sequence could have just been absolutely like cut. And like, why would you have like 2 groups like meeting up to exchange it? Why couldn't Dodge and just get one group, like either the lady or the dude Rain, to just kidnap and not have an exchange at all? So I was thinking about that, and I suggested, well, why have? I mean, Kayla. I liked Kayla as a character. She was like badass and stuff, but she was kind of like bland. Like, there's no backstory. Like what was motivating her? Like, did she like maybe lose a child, and that's why she saved Maisie? Like, it could have done something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's becoming now in Hollywood too boring. I don't know, but at least it's something. But I feel like maybe instead of Kayla, I feel like Barry should have been the dude that they met up and flew a plane and all that, instead of him just essentially like arresting someone and that was it. That's all Barry had to do. Because like that dude should have had more stuff going on in the trilogy. Like, he wasn't in the last film.
Dude, where's our Barry figure? Like,
right, where's the Barry
Mattel's?
figure? They released the ATV with Owen in 2018, but no Barry.
Yeah.
Poor Barry, dude. He's getting screwed in the movies, screwed in the toys.
I mean, I firmly believe that now that Mattel's toys are selling pretty well, especially with the 2 packs with the humans and whatnot, like I think they're going to continue making more characters from these films. I definitely think Barry's going to make it at some point.
I hope so, yeah.
Especially with like an Atrociraptor figure.
Something, yeah, because he's in a lot of the action scenes. Why not? Like,
Yeah.
I understand if it's somebody behind a desk not doing anything. Like,
Right.
I would like to see a Wu figure, but like, if a dude's in an action scene, we have a freaking Rain Delacourt figure, and
Right.
he really didn't do much. Like,
I would much rather have a Doctor Wu like in a lab suit though, with the long
original
hair. And,
film.
yeah. His new look is definitely a bit odd, and I did not
It
like
is.
the way he was written in this film.
I actually did. I like that he's like kind of had a change of heart, and like over time, he wanted to like kind of fix everything because he knew he effed up.
I agree with that. I just cringe at the one line where he's like, "We needed to eradicate these locusts like yesterday." Like, no scientist is going to use the term like yesterday.
Yeah, that might have been Emily Carmichael, whatever her name is, line.
I mean, geez. I mean, like, I get he's been beat down after Jurassic World. He's been, kind of going through failure after failure. But for God's sakes, man, like, you're a doctor.
So what do you think? Do you think that's a good idea, guys? Would you rather like something like that to happen, like have Barry in that role, and then Barry could have been bonding more instead of like Kayla with like the Pyroraptor and all the crap that they go through together? I thought that'd be a good idea.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool because he's played with raptors before.
Yeah, they could have done some like crazy stuff with the Raptor. Now that I think about it, yeah, he brought that up because maybe he thought he could have trained them or like stopped them like with their hand out and stuff. One thing real quick, I did get goosebumps in the theater when Maisie said eyes on me. She like stepped up and she put her hand out to Beta. I thought that was so cool because it was like the whole trilogy coming to the end in like that moment. I thought that was really awesome.
That was a cool scene.
Dude, seeing Dr. Grant put his hand out and circle the raptor and just, mentioning like, oh, they always attack from the sides. And, like that was classic Dr. Grant. I thought that was really cool.
Let's talk about Dr. Grant. Did you like Dr. Grant in the film?
Absolutely.
Ronnie, did you like Dr. Grant in the film?
Yeah, he's always been cool.
I liked him, but I felt like I was kind of disappointed because like, especially with the dialogue. So I think I texted you guys this. Maybe I didn't. But Dr. Grant, legend character in the franchise, meets Owen Grady, the new lead essentially for this trilogy. And all they say is this. Dr. Grant goes, "You're Owen Grady. You trained velociraptors." And that was pretty much it. Like, that's it. Like, Grant survived Jurassic Park, and he survived Jurassic Park 3. But, like, this dude in the universe, smartest dude when it comes to the paleontology and the dinosaurs and whatnot. And he meets a guy who takes that and flipped everything that he would have thought. Like, training the raptors, that's a pretty big deal. Pissed off a lot of people in the fandom, whatnot, whatever. And the whole interaction they kind of have is just like 3 sentences. Like,
that was pretty weird. Let's tell there's a lot of like missing stuff, like missing scenes or missing interactions between multiple characters.
The follow-up to that too was hilarious with Malcolm then coming in and saying, "Oh, so you train raptors, huh?" And he's like, "What do you just go in there and tell them what to do and they listen to you?" And he's like, "I had a dog once and it humped my leg so much that I have a callus on my shin or something." It's like, what? Like, what? Who?
Yeah.
Like, who wrote that line? Like, why?
Yeah, it was
why
funny,
was
but yeah, it was. I did laugh because my sister's dog does that. But
oh, geez, I mean, it's funny, but why was that line there? And
exactly.
Not,
like, it seems like that was for the audience of 14-year-olds,
right?
But yeah, I guess let's. There's a comment here. Let's talk about Geo Maisie. So was Maisie like retconned then, like kind of as a clone? And now like she's kind of just born of like an asexual mother, or was the doctor not asexual? She just like cloned herself and put the baby inside her. Like, I don't know how that really happened. It was cool that it was ironic that in the first, book film, the raptors were asexual, essentially changed their sex or to have eggs and babies and reproduce. So it's cool that like that happened in this last one that kind of like wrapped that up as an idea. But like, so is Maisie officially like retconned as a clone? Like,
So I think the explanation essentially is that her mother, Charlotte, is a scientist who, like Ellie says, wanted a child more than anything. So I'm wondering if perhaps she was trying to test out if humans could undergo parthenogenesis, which I believe is a study that's actually undergone and was proven now, but it was like under certain radiations or something particular like that. But essentially, she got herself pregnant with Maisie. After she gave birth, she figured out she had a rare genetic disorder, which
Right.
she then was able to save Maisie from because she took the, I guess, a certain, I don't know what the word they used in the film was, but like the certain enzyme out of the DNA and
Yeah.
replaced it and, kind of cured that disease. So I think that's essentially where it's at. So yes, she is technically a clone. I mean, she's, born without a father, so she was a replicated version of her mother. So she will, be essentially a clone, but she's not cloned by her grandfather because he mourned the loss of his daughter. But it was seemed almost to be put that way because Benjamin Lockwood was ashamed or afraid of his daughter. I don't know, getting outside, views on her for cloning herself or something like that.
So Ronnie, quick question for both of you guys from Nathan. Nathan says he's not a fan of the human cloning plot in the Jurassic films. A lot of people are. A lot of people say it's very Crichton-like. Or Ryan, do you like the human cloning plot in the past two films?
I mean, it's different. I mean, we haven't really seen anything like that in the Jurassic franchise, and I mean, it doesn't really seem. I mean, it's different, but it doesn't really seem like fitting. Because like it's usually supposed to be about like the dinosaurs, and then here you are bringing like, oh, you're using that same technology on humans. Let's see, oh, maybe we can clone a human.
It does seem that like if you want to progress a story or show off us as a society, like what happens, that would probably be the next thing in line if they could get dinosaurs. A human
Yeah.
clone would probably be next. So as much as I thought it was freaking weird when I saw it in 2018, it logically kind of makes sense. I
I
don't
mean,
know
if you have the technology,
what do you
you
think,
might
Nick?
just try it.
Well, I think people tend to forget how realistic that possibility can be. I mean, people tend to forget like the Brads in Camp Cretaceous, which I know is completely off topic, which
No, it's not.
are ridiculous. I'm not a big fan of the Brads at all, but to say that it's possible to clone dinosaurs, but it's not possible to have programmable droids that follow commands is ridiculous because in this world, who knows what the limits to, technology are. But as far as this film goes and Jurassic Park as a whole, they have to remember that the theme parks were built not because of John Hammond's, true love for dinosaurs, but because he's a capitalist. He needed something to fund the technology that he wanted to produce. And the only way to get someone to pay for him to be able to clone dinosaurs is by making it a theme park attraction and having tourists come in. And so, in funding those operations, he wanted to explore genetics. It's only a matter of time. If you're bringing back dinosaurs, why not try to clone, a past president or, a historical figure or a significant, who
Right.
knows? Maybe they could even, this might be a Crichton-like thing, but who knows? They could go back in time and try to clone Jesus or something crazy like that. Just because they could. I mean, let's face it, it's Jurassic Park. They're it's a sci-fi thriller, and they write it proper. You could do stuff like that in spin-offs. As far as human cloning goes in these films, I didn't like it in Fallen Kingdom. I thought the way it was written was horrible. I did like the idea of it though in this film. I think that it was an interesting, thing that they brought up. I definitely think Maisie's arc was redeemed in this film. I wasn't a big fan of her in Fallen Kingdom either.
Yeah, you actually bringing up about the was it Hammond and kind of not really using it as a front, but like, that could have been like a plot line for like Ms. Ronnie. Now that you say that, my brain is just working. Now that could have been like a plot for Ms. Ronnie, and he could have been like wanting to not like say clone humans, but like do something that science wise was above cloning dinosaurs, but cloning
Right.
dinosaurs had to be that step to get to the next step. Like that would have been sick to see somehow
Exactly.
in the films, but once again, just a missed opportunity.
Well, think about it. I mean, you could flesh this type of stuff out with extended media. I mean, let's face it, Star Wars isn't the best at that. And they do extend these things through TV shows and, books and things like that. Like, talk about these ideas. Like, do things for the fans and do stuff for the kids as well. But, like, a fully written, like, professionally written, novel about like the time between Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World would like be killer just to get some more backstory on certain characters and things like that.
Okay, switching topics. Alejandro says that he's surprised that Franklin went from a skinny cat to a normal FBI agent. I actually think that his like he was needed in the plot to get the information for Claire and Owen, but the whole like dino rescues like in the beginning scene with Claire, I felt like that was actually really useless and just could have been cut. Like there's no real significance outside of Franklin just quitting on her and saying he has a better job in line. Like you didn't need that at all. He could have just been already working for the FBI.
Wholeheartedly agreed.
Like that was something I felt like could have been just done with. Like because Claire was kind of useless in that, at least that portion. I felt like Claire should have been like, I'm gonna or maybe make a video, and like do like my own like rewrite of Jurassic World, and I guess the whole trilogy. But I feel like Claire should have been like in jail or like flipped with Owen. Like Owen should have not been the guy that was depressed and needs to be begged back for. Like Owen should have been the guy working for the Dinosaur Protection Group, and Claire should have been the one all depressed and all that. And like I screwed up all this, blah 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 stuff. Claire like not in jail and the person that leads this group. It made no sense to me as a character. And I felt like that should have been flipped in Fallen Kingdom. So maybe I'll write an essay about that. But that was just one little thing that I just irked me throughout the films. But I want to talk about the Pyroraptor. That's the last thing in my notes. And we can talk about whatever the hell. We can talk about Kenobi or more Jurassic World. But the Pyroraptor, what was it doing? Like just outside the frozen like pond or lake, it just like guards the lake. Like what? What
Yeah,
was it?
I don't know. That was goofy. I was like, oh, he just appears out of nowhere. Unless he somehow found a way to get out of like the gates or something. I don't know. That was weird.
What do you think, Nick?
I mean, considering Pyroraptor was likely a pack hunter, and I can't imagine that Biosim would only clone one for their park, I find it a little odd that there was just a random Pyroraptor sitting out in the middle of the Arctic, or rather in the middle of the Iceland water or the frozen lake or however you want to call it. But what beats me is the fact that Owen falls in, the raptor falls in, and I don't care how adapted this dinosaur's feathers are, it's not going to protect it from the frozen water.
Right.
And Owen should have had hypothermia.
Right.
And he just seemingly comes out no problem.
But Owen in the last film literally was face to face with lava and was cool. So
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
look, I get it. It's an action film, and
Yeah.
obviously there's things that there's gonna be stretched on, like the plume, the lava smoke, or from the eruption of the volcano should have absolutely decimated him when it hit him when he was running through it. Just the heat on that alone would have killed him. But somehow he managed to jump from a cliff 50 feet, then go down and open up a gyrosphere with a knife and a gun. So
okay, I want to ask you just an open-ended question. What was your favorite part of the film that like wasn't maybe like action or a dinosaur scene? And then we can ask like, what's your favorite dinosaur portion? So non-favorite dinosaur portion of the movie was when Dodgson said F it, and he said to light up and pretty much kill the locusts. But the locusts, when they're on fire, somehow, I mean, stupid that they somehow escaped, but they somehow escaped, but then they went into the sky and then they started like flying around. And it was like such cool imagery, seeing them as like a wide shot, like in the sky, like burning. And, they ended up like being like kind of like almost like a volcano with like falling like ash or, lava, whatnot. And so, and then, the Gigas being hit with it during the action sequence, that was sweet. So that was like my favorite maybe. And then of course, he is like Dodgson's kind of going on like a childish like rant, like with his arms and all that. And I was like, that's perfect causality of like him screwing up and like things just getting worse, like Murphy's Law. And my favorite, I think, dinosaur portion. The Giga attack was probably the best, but I think my favorite, besides the Dilophosaurus killing Dodgson, my favorite was the way that the Therizinosaurus versus Claire sequence was filmed. It was filmed very well. Like he did like a low camera angle with Claire, and then it was like almost like Godzilla 2014 with So like you would see like her perspective and see how big the animal is, and the animal went away, and then the camera would circle around. I really like that. So what are your two favorites, non-dinosaur and then dinosaur parts of the film? So Ronnie, will go with you first.
I guess my favorite dinosaur part was probably seeing the Ferrozino because yours is pretty cool. You know, he steps in and then chases Claire. You know, you act like that. Oh, he's about to mess some stuff up. He's really about to make things hard for them. And then he chases her all the way down to like the lake, and then she has to go underwater, and then he does the growling. Like, oh, I can't find you anymore. He gets up and leaves. But yeah, I think his size, I think, is definitely a big part about him.
Yeah, he was huge.
Yeah, but I'd like seeing like how big it was definitely like intimidating, I would assume. And he got these giant claws too. That was pretty cool.
So what's your favorite non-dinosaur part of the film?
Um, I like what Nick said earlier about the whole like redemption arc for Maisie, I guess. Because in the last one, she was kind of just like, oh, like just a kid, you know, like an annoying kid in a movie. But here this one they explain how like, oh, her mom was like a really big part of like the original park and everything, and did like a lot of things that were like really like revolutionary. And then she did the whole thing with like the cloning person. I thought that was really interesting to see.
Yeah, that, you bring up a good point. That was really cool that Wu knew her mom, and they kind of fleshed that out. That was actually quite
They
nice.
kind of like all knew her mom, so she seemed like she was like a really big deal back
Yeah,
then.
that's cool.
Which they'll
Yeah.
probably continue that within like the next series or something. You know, they're not just gonna have that in this one.
Yeah, that was
They'll
nice.
explain that a lot more, I would assume.
All right, Nick, what was your favorite non-dinosaur then dinosaur part?
Favorite non-dinosaur, I guess, aspect of the film would probably be Maisie Lockwood. Like you guys were saying, I mean, I loved the picture of Charlotte Lockwood standing in front of the gates for the park. I loved the 90s VHS footage of Charlotte sitting there with the Microceratus and talking about science and, you know, things like that, and what we're doing here at Jurassic Park. And I was like, wow, that feels really like, you know, Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
You know, that felt like the original Jurassic Park. But as far as my favorite non-dinosaur scene, I'd probably say it was nice to see the initial reunion between Alan and Ellie and them acknowledging like their past and how are your kids, and, you know,
Yeah.
like I said, like, you know, acknowledging the past films is important, you know, in my opinion, for continuity purposes. And I think it's cool that we finally got, you know, that acknowledgement in these movies.
Yeah, it was really nice because like the last time they were together on screen was Grant drives away in Jurassic Park 3.
Right.
So like it was really nice that they were were brought back and everything was tied up pretty well, including, if I'm not mistaken, their first kiss ever
Yeah.
on screen. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I don't think they ever kissed in the first film. I don't think.
Well, yeah, they finally got their happy ever after.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Okay, so favorite dinosaur part of the film.
I mean, there's so many, to be honest with you, so it's kind of hard to pick.
You can pick a couple. That's fine.
I mean, I love the Dilophosaurus in this movie. I think the Claire interaction with them and how they were all stalking her was really neat.
That was awesome. Yeah.
I was really upset that they just ended it with Owen closing the jaw and them shocking it, and that one running away, and like the other 2 or 3 that were there were just like, oh, okay, we're done. Yep, we're good. Like, that doesn't make any sense, especially since they all went after Dachshund, which I thought that was an awesome death scene, like you were saying earlier, with like the scariness of it. But I also like really liked the scientific aspect of the new dinosaurs. Like, they were showing off Morris Intrepidus like a modern day animal. It felt really realistic, and I'm sure there are a lot of scientific inaccuracies in that dinosaur too. But you know, I just like the way they were showing these dinosaurs as true dinosaurs now and not hybridized monsters.
Right. You know, that's actually, now that I remember it, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty badass that like Owen kind of choked the Dilophosaurus when it was choking its own venom. That was pretty creative. I'm not gonna lie, it probably wouldn't happen, but
Right.
the dinosaur's probably more muscular than a human, even if it was mid tier Arnold Schwarzenegger, like that probably wouldn't happen. But because the dinosaur is bigger than that. But yeah. It sounds like we complained a lot on the live stream, but it was good discussion about stuff. I wanted to talk about how much we liked the film because we did like it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'm trying to think of other positives that I really liked or anything else we want to discuss. If not, we could talk about Kenobi for a little bit if we want to. But
I mean, how do you guys feel about Ramsey Cole? Do you like that guy as a character?
I think I like him, but it's just like, he's kind of bland. Like, what's going on? He was a good guy. I like the actor; he did a pretty good job. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like honestly, maybe it's just me having high standards, but I feel like just like the whole Jurassic World trilogy, I wanted more from it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not like saying I'm disappointed or let down. I just want more. So,
all right. So I have 2 questions for you, Matt, since you were interviewing us this entire time. So, yes,
I try to involve you guys. Okay,
we are flipping the switches this time.
Right.
What is your opinion on the Giga scene where it finally stalks the original trio and everybody meets up and everything? I felt that the animatronic was beautiful. However, it just felt very robotic. And on top of that, I felt as though the Giga was completely blind, and it didn't make much sense why it wasn't killing them. The realism in that scene just didn't feel like it was properly filmed right, I guess.
When it's kind of like going around the car, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way a little bit with you. Ron, you can chime in too, because like that first film, like they move around the car when it's cars flip with the Rex, and the Rex, can see them, but like it chooses to kind of like, pick away at Tim. But like in Dominion, the Giga's like literally right in front of Goldblum as it turns the corner.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know about that. That looks a little too close. I don't know if he was blind, but it's a good point to raise. It was kind of like
the thing.
Could just be like the angle or something. I don't know.
No, I don't know. Like,
okay, but then remember this: they all run over to the ladder. Maisie's going up the ladder. Maisie's getting attacked, right? And she's getting protected by the cage.
Yes.
Right underneath of that ladder, only a few feet, is Owen, Kayla, or Kayla's only a few feet up. Owen's there, Claire's there, Malcolm's there, and obviously it's like perfect biting height for the Giga. Why the hell is it going after Maisie specifically and not the other 4 people just standing there perfectly unguarded?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they all manage to get up the ladder and are sneaking around the tower completely unnoticed still by the Giga. And then he's slowly moving in, and then Malcolm comes out of nowhere with I guess like a rake or something with a burning shirt, shoves it in its mouth, and then it breathes fire.
Yeah, that was. It looked like. I mean, it was all happening very fast. I only saw the movie one time. It looked like he was holding a giant wrench or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that was. I actually predicted that, and it was on Twitter. I predicted that Ian. I told Jay Jurassic this too. I predicted Ian was going to die from the Giga, and then when the Giga eats Ian. Is that shot of like the Giga like roaring and looking all like evil and shit. I thought that was the shot after he ate him, but I was like, oh dude, Ian's gonna die, because like he's right there, and then he's in that teaser shot of him with the quasi flare. But yeah, that was pretty perfect aim by a skinny guy in his 60s right in the Giga's mouth.
I think he's in his 70s.
He
just like shot put it right in there.
Right in there. Problem. Like this guy has no muscles at all.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like
that's perfect stance too.
Right. But I don't know. I'm not going to be that dude who nitpicks all the stuff because I enjoyed the film. But
sure,
this is you bring up a good point. I might talk about it in my video, but I'm just stating for the record. Maybe I'll be the first one to say this: that the villain, in a way, kind of represents the villain, meaning the Giga. I'm not entirely certain because I haven't looked at them side by side, but maybe the production team or Colin said like kind of he said that. I guess I sent you the link today talking about how he wanted to look like the Joker. I actually feel that Colin, in my own theory of Spielberg having Hitchcock as Bruce the Shark, I feel that he has the Giga kind of look a little bit like Dodgson, and that is like Dodgson's kind of like little baby. And if the Giga is indeed blind, then that's actually mirrors and foreshadows Dodgson himself, because he was pretty blind to all the plotting going around and him being like kind of upended by his own people and the people he trusted to come into his facility. So it's possible the gig is blind.
We
Yeah.
need an extended cut.
We do. We really do, dude.
We need everybody in this community to all pitch together, get on Twitter right now, and start asking for the extended cut.
You know what, dude?
It'll happen.
I'm not gonna lie. I want an extended cut more so of Fallen Kingdom because there's a good movie there somewhere.
Yeah,
And they definitely had one. I felt like they kind of cut the crap out
dude,
of
they
that
were gonna
movie
have
out.
Iris die. They were gonna actually have a good
that-
guy die in that movie, and it was gonna be awesome.
Yeah, that was a scene. I was actually, I think it was on Twitter. Jack Ewins was on Clayton Fiorini's whatever video it was. I think it was like I was just watching a bunch of Clayton videos. He was on some Clayton video, and he was talking about how in an earlier scene, I don't know if it was filmed or not, but in an earlier scene, the Indoraptor is watching like whoever the Mills's people like torture a dinosaur, and like the torturers, the workers, like laugh or grin or make a smile, and then the Indoraptor kind of like mimics the guy's smile, and the workers like, what the hell was that? And so that kind of sets up the Indoraptor doing that like crazy evil like little smile as it plays dead for Ted Levine's character.
Dude, where the hell was that in the movie?
Right, dude, that'd have been so
that
sick.
would have perfectly explained that scene instead of making things seem so stupid.
The more and more I find out about this stuff, the more and more I'm like, dude, Fallen Kingdom could have been like the best movie since The Lost World. Like,
well, they were supposed to have it play with like a human skull.
Yeah, that was filmed. I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't like. This is all new stuff I'm finding out about. That could have been absolutely incredible. Like this movie could have been freaking amazing. But I do want to see. I want to see extended cuts of everything, dude. I want to see extended cuts of Jurassic World. I don't care if it screws up the pacing. I want to see without a doubt, an extended cut of Fallen Kingdom, and I do want to see an extended cut of Dominion. But out of all of them, I think that Dominion's going to get probably an extended cut on like Blu-ray home video release, because Colin has teased and talked about it, and I even think that they're going to give an extended cut, maybe even so in the theaters, because that's what I feel like Colin's talking about on Twitter that he's like alluding to. Like if this movie makes the typical money that the past two have been making, and this is like supposed to be like the last one, there's probably going to be at least a 50% chance of it going to theaters as an extended cut, and then we get it on home video. But
well, apparently home video is coming out in I think August.
Really?
There's pre-order for it already. Collect Jurassic had it on his Instagram today.
Let me look at this.
They're doing a 6-movie collection.
Is it?
They don't have a perfect release date yet, but I think it says like summer of this year.
We're going to Amazon. Hold on. Dominion Blu-ray. It's just showing the other films. But anyway, yes, I do want to see an extended cut. Do we have anything else? Yes, hashtag release the Dominion extended cut. And I also want to hashtag, I want to see the Bayona cut for Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, do we have anything else to say about Dominion? It's been an hour. So.
Not that I can really think of.
No?
I
got all my notes done. Do you guys want to talk about Kenobi for a quick hot minute, or you just want to just say goodnight and play video games?
It's up to you guys. What do you guys want to do?
I can talk about Kenobi.
I'll talk Kenobi.
You want to talk about Kenobi, Ronnie, or play video games?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead. You kick it. This is your time to shine. Go ahead, baby.
I guess if I'm really going to be honest.
Oh, hold on, real quick. Let me just say a disclaimer. This is the portion where we're going to talk about Kenobi and spoilers. So if you have not seen Kenobi, just you can sign off. But all right, go ahead, Ronnie.
I don't know. I feel like so far, and I hate to be that guy, but I feel like it's kind of like a letdown so far, and we're already like more than halfway done the show.
Yeah.
But I feel like the bad part is they keep. I don't really like how they keep pushing the like the whole Kenobi and Little Leia thing. I feel like because it feels too much like Mando and Grogu. Like, come on, we already seen that. Like that whole arc should have been done like within like an episode or 2 at most, but not like 4 out of the 6 episodes. I don't know. I don't really like that part of it about it.
What do you think, Nick?
So far, I think the show is pretty good. I mean, I think it's got its perks. It's great seeing Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor coming back to play the part. And the Inquisitors are cool to see finally in live action too. I will say I'm not really happy with the way they decided to go about it, which I think is, a shame because they are really cool looking characters in the shows. And even like in the new Fallen Order video game, the Grand Inquisitor looks exactly like he does in Rebels. And in this series, he absolutely does not. So,
The actors have been doing a good job, though.
Yeah, the actor's doing great, and it's no offense to him and his
Right.
role. I mean, obviously he's getting paid to do the job, but
Right.
I don't know whose choice it was to decide not to use that look, especially since it's been done in Revenge of the Sith. But that was a really poor choice on their part. I don't like the character of Reva, but she's starting to warm up to me a little bit more. And I just don't like the fifth brother. I feel like it's just him like shouting like really mad like this. Like he just sounds really stupid.
Lord Vader says my turn to Xbox.
I was just about to say.
But he's got that dumb stance.
He does. That's what makes the meme so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
What's weird is I guess they killed the Grand Inquisitor. Like that doesn't make sense. Like, because I don't remember him dying until like Rebels.
Apparently, they said that they are not retconning anything. Just stay tuned.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
watch him be like, oh, he was wearing like a saber-proof vest or something.
Maybe he comes back and kills Reva at the end because I really want to like Reva and she has some like what's up, Lance? She has some like really cool motivations and stuff. But like the actor is just trying too hard. It's so bad. And she doesn't. Oh, let me state that she does not deserve any like hatred that she's been getting racist comments or something. That's so stupid. But like as an actor, yeah, she's not very good. They should have chosen somebody else. But yeah, I don't really like. She's like writing wise, it's a good villain. Like she makes you want to hate her, but like she's just such a bad actor. A lot of people are complaining hardcore so much about Little Leia, and I was like, dude, Little Leia. First of all, it's a kid. Second of all,
exactly.
Yeah, so stop making fun of a kid. All right. Second of all,
it's like when they made fun of little Anakin. Like, come on.
Right.
Like, we don't need to do that.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I knew some people that knew Jake Lloyd, and apparently he's kind of an asshole. But anyway, yeah, don't make fun of children. Bad look. But secondly, like I feel personally that little kid, not just she's cast well, and like she's doing a decent job for being a kid actor. I'm not expecting 11 from Stranger Things performance. I feel that the writing is really well done for little Leia, and she feels like a Leia, and I feel like Carrie Fisher would be really proud of that little girl. And I guess the robot is named after Carrie Fisher's dog or something like that. So that's a cool little Easter egg.
No, Lola.
No,
I think that was a lie. I actually looked into that, and I think somebody made that up just to make a meme.
Huh. Well, anyway, the show's been for me pretty solid. There's been some problems, but I absolutely think Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of the greatest things in the world. Watching those first two episodes, the first episode was kind of whatever. The second episode was really good, and it peaked probably at episode 3, and then the last episode was kind of typical Star Wars cliche, easy escape type deal, and that was kind of whatever. So I agree with Ronnie for saying that it's kind of but yeah, that's a quick series, and they I don't know what they're gonna do for an episode or season 2.
I don't think they are. I think it's just one season.
Apparently, they might be. There is a rumor that they rewrote the ending of this, and there might be a season 2.
Holy smokes! Where'd you hear that?
The Den of Nerds.
Interesting. I did not hear this.
This is a they're like a news source podcast, and I guess like nerdy base channel. They do like Marvel and Star Wars, so they get all like the inside scoops. But it's just a rumor as of right now. It's not anything confirmed. But
Well, we'll all find out sooner or later, I guess.
yeah, well,
Because I remember hearing Ewan McGregor himself said like, "Oh, after this will be it for the character of Kenobi."
I don't know, man. Money talks.
yeah, money definitely talks.
That's probably why he came back. Like, but it's awesome seeing him. Besides, I talked about him. It was awesome seeing Hayden like in a little robe, and like that's really cool. That like Obi-Wan's having these like PTSDs like episodes, and dude, Qui-Gon. I don't care what what's his face says. Like Qui-Gon's got to make an appearance, at least audibly.
We definitely need a flashback sequence between him and Anakin too. There has to be more Anakin because Hayden Christensen definitely didn't like sign on for that just to be shown in like prosthetic
suit.
stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
for sure. Well, do you have other stuff to say about Kenobi, or?
I guess for me that's about it.
Well, it's not over yet, so we really can't, I guess, discuss it in full. But like we could with it's like almost like seeing the 3/4 of Dominion and talking about it, I guess. But yeah, I guess I can wrap us up. You guys want to say anything else?
I guess for me that's about it.
Alrighty, how about you, Nick?
Go see Jurassic World Dominion.
Yes, go see Jurassic World Dominion. I've seen it once.
Very fun movie it is.
I'll probably only be able to see it once because I'm poor right now. Are you guys gonna see it more than once?
I've seen it twice so far.
I would like to see it again eventually.
I would like to see it again too, but I don't know if I could or not. But yeah. If you had to give it out of 10, what would you guys give it?
I guess I'll agree with you two. Say 7.
7?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alita gave it an 8, so we're all about almost on the same page. Yeah, it was a fun time. The critics, they're kind of wrong.
They are.
Yeah, they're always silly. They never know what they're talking about.
So go see the film. All the Jurassic Park people I've noticed on Twitter, like, I don't think any of them are actually like smack talk the movie. Everyone's like, go see it. Like we've all kind of like, it's almost like a Shang-Chi type of deal. Like that, it was critically acclaimed, but like that movie really succeeded from word of mouth. Like,
right.
I heard from everyone how awesome it was. And I was like, all right, I got to see this freaking movie. And I did. I was like, that movie was amazing. So, yeah. Dominion, I feel like it's the same way. And I feel like Dominion's going to make that $1 billion just like the rest of them. So
it's no Shawshank Redemption in terms of plot, for sure. But it's certainly not a terrible movie by any standards. And like any complaining that we have done on this podcast is simply just fans nitpicking tiny little details. I mean, overall, we all loved it, I think.
Right. Alrighty. Well, I think that wraps us up for the second episode of Let's Talk Nerds podcast here live on YouTube.
We should do these more often. They're cool.
Well, I think I'm only allowed one free live stream for these Streamlabs. I can stream on other places, but Streamlabs is really nice because it doesn't use my computer CPU to do it. It does it via like the internet, so it's actually really nice. But yeah, maybe next month we can just talk about Kenobi and toys or whatever the hell we decide to talk about. But yep. All right. Thank you very much, Ronnie, for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Nick, for coming on.
Pleasure.
So until next time, everyone, have a safe trip to Jurassic World Dominion's Biosyn complex, and hopefully you don't get eaten by Giganosaurus. All right, good night, everybody.